technical problems to getting him in, but I believe he's available with us now. Dave, can you bring that person in? Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Hello there.
Yes. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir, you can. Go ahead.
Okay.
I recognize the voice.
This is Dr. Ali Muhammad, just outside of Washington, D.C. with Abundant Life Health Attainment Center. I know we're pressed for time. I'm very happy to be a part of this, so I'll try to condense my remarks as quickly, as brief, to make them as brief as possible. I've enjoyed all of the remarks thus far. I want to throw some light on the medical aspects of everything that everybody is doing. We should not overlook the fact that the immediate apparent trigger for the ongoing economic collapse that has the entire globe on lockdown was caused by a virus. Whether you think it's an actual virus or whether you think it's imaginary or whether you think it's a visitor from outer space, whatever you might think it is, it has everybody on lockdown, including you. So what are we faced with? And has humanity ever been faced with something similar in the past? And who were the individuals who were involved and what did they do? And how does that inform us today of what we should do? If we go back 100 years ago, there were race riots in America. There was economic turmoil. We were in the aftermath of World War I. And in that chaos, Marcus Garvey started the Universal Negro Improvement Association. In 90 years ago, in the 30s, during the Great Depression, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in the midst of that dark economic hour, launched what was called the Nation of Islam. Now, if we go back 50 years, 40 years in the Civil Rights era, we could ask the question, what would the likes of a James Bevel do today? He's not with us, but what would he do? What would Amelia Boynton Robinson do today if she were faced with what we're faced with? And so if we take the examples and the lessons from history, then we're well instructed as to what we must do today. So there are three areas I want to emphasize as quickly as I can. We will not have an economic recovery until we have a recovery of lost human potential. And that's a big subject in and of itself. But there's three major areas that we must be concerned with. Number one is prevention. That's why you see my N95 mask. Number two, we have to have diagnosis. And number three, we have to have treatment. Now, there's a lot of technology that is going to be developed in the future as a result of the launch back into space. But actually, there's been a lot of technological development already that has been suppressed and largely unknown by the general population. The N95 mask is a piece of high technology that came directly out of the space age. We have the alpha interferon, which also was proven recently in China to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Also, in the realm of treating microbial diseases, the alpha interferon found in this Paximune is the only known treatment for viral illnesses as proven over 30 years of research, starting with the outbreak of HIV in the late 80s and all the way through Ebola, SARS-1, MERS. The only thing that works is interferon. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already been invented. And so what we need to do is follow the good examples. Someone said we should look at the stars. Well, we should look at the stars of public health. We should look at the stars of civil rights. We should look at the stars who have led successful campaigns and movements in the past, because that's exactly what we need today. We need a movement. And so we need to do what the Cubans did. When the Cubans found themselves under continuous biological assault by the United States government over the last 50 years of their revolution, they developed a highly advanced biotechnology sector. That's why the Cubans were able to send the medical brigade armed with alpha interferon into China at the outbreak of the epidemic and flatten that curve. And so that's what we need to do for ourselves. We need to flatten our own curve. Because of the entanglements on the economic scene, the so-called trade war, the usual trade routes that would provide the American people, especially the frontline workers, with N95 masks and other PP equipment, that we could have a safe reopening of the economy. We need to reopen the schools. We need to reopen the universities. We need to reopen the factories and the malls. We need to reopen the towns and the villages, but it must be done safely. And so they lied when they said that there were no masks. They lied when they say that PPE is in short supply. They've always lied and said things were in scarce supply. The reality of it is that the economic geometry and the flow patterns of goods and currency have changed in the world. And so these items are available, but they are not available through the old trade routes. And so the Belt and Road Initiative has many different aspects. And so in my conclusion, what I'm proposing is that we take the known technologies. You see, we have disruptions in Minneapolis and many other cities because of the murder of a single Black man, when in fact, according to Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett of NIH, who is in charge of vaccine research at NIH, according to her, this has all of the aspects of Black genocide. And so even though Blacks may be the number one intended targets of a biological weapon, yet we have to think outside of the Black box and understand that all of humanity is threatened by COVID-19. As a matter of fact, all animal life, not just human life, is threatened because the natural host of the coronavirus is not the animal or the human itself, but the parasite that may be in the body of the human or the animal. And so since people and animals share parasites, you don't need a species jump in order to make COVID-19 a threat to all of humanity and to all animal life, and as far as I know, maybe even some plant life as well. And so we have a common enemy that will allow us to unite, doing the things that we know we should do, doing the things that we know that we can do. We have the tools in our hands, everything that we need. And so let's mobilize ourselves and organize ourselves into a movement that, yes, in part is a public health response to a public health threat. But on another level, look at it this way, as I think Reverend Bevel would, from a constitutional point of view. We are guaranteed the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But that right to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness is threatened anytime someone is able to challenge our immunity. And so as we protect our immunity, we are protecting our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If we do not protect the flank, the exposed flank of weakened immunity in the human population due to poor diet and other conditions, then we will not have the ability to enjoy any of the other rights or to go on to the bright future that some of our previous speakers have spoken of. And so let's form this movement. Let's form a medical brigade, a medical militia, call it what you will. Let's put together survival kits that contain everything that the people need. Let's deliver the masks. Let's deliver the hand sanitizer. Let's deliver the home test kits that are available at a very reasonable cost. Let's deliver the alpha interferon so that people can begin to treat themselves at home. The new paradigm in medicine is based on nutrition. It's based on strengthening immunity. It's based on self-care. It's based on a scientifically literate population that is able to take care of themselves and others. And so the beginning of that new paradigm, that paradigm shift in medicine, that is also a paradigm shift in the economic system, there's also a paradigm shift in science, there's also a paradigm shift in culture. That paradigm shift begins with life itself. and the immunity that is necessary to protect that life. And so let's form that movement. Let's form another movement like they had in the civil rights era. Let's do the same things that worked back then. Let's modernize it, bring it down to the modern times, and do it again. Because our very lives are at stake, and the lives of those we love, the lives of humanity, the lives of animals are all at stake. And it all depends on you and I not necessarily learning so many new things, which will occur, of course, as we tackle these problems, but it's actually putting into practice the things that we already know. This is a test of your faith, whether you're a Christian, whether you're Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, even if you're an atheist. This is a test to see whether you can maintain your atheism in the face of a threat that makes everybody call out for the help and mercy of God. And so I thank you, Dennis, and all the other panelists for an opportunity to share some thoughts with you in the area of health. Because if we don't handle this fundamental aspect of this global problem, and in all of its complexities, then the rest of it won't matter so much. So we want to recover the economy, that's true. But let's first begin with the recovery of lost human potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. We have